From Concord, North Carolina, the Racers Elite Truck Series is ready to steam into the final stretch of Season 5 here in the shadow of all that is NASCAR. The thunderous roar of these virtual V8s is about to fill your screens as we prepare to wave the green flag with this final race before our champion will be crowned next week in Phoenix. These aren't just ordinary trucks and drivers, they're beasts of the digital racetrack capable of mind-bending speeds and jaw-dropping maneuvers. Our drivers are the living display of why this is the Racers Elite family of racing series as they push the limits of simulation technology and their own skill. Last week, Truth Hoke needed just one extra lap to nab his first win of the season, but fell short by less than 200th of a second at the hands of series veteran Blair Holloman, who notched his 7th win of the season. Hope Valley, Rhode Island's Alex Teft rounded out the podium for the 3rd time this season, while Lee Campbell, a Racers Elite veteran, finished 15th after qualifying on the 2nd row. Tonight, we're set for a heart-pounding race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and this track's tough banking and sweeping quad oval will test every driver's mettle, and every lap will be a battle for supremacy. I'm Dave Regal alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Jonathan Leach, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. Fasten your seatbelts and prepare for a wild ride. The Racers Elite Truck Series lives on Sim Racing Media. And John, as we get ready to rock and roll here tonight, the drivers are crawling into those cockpits through the window nets, and we're ready to go 105 blistering laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, 105 laps at one of my favorite racing surfaces. Excited to see what's going to happen for this racing surface after the major iRacing update that just occurred, showing about 21 drivers on the field, make that 20 drivers in the field. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to see some multi-groove racing here early, and as the tires wear down, I think things are going to single file, but really looking forward to it. Maybe Truth Hoke can get that win that he was oh so close to last week.
Without a doubt, as we want to quick take a peek at our starting lineup here as drivers have all crawled into those cockpits. Dale Prokop Valaket, he's going to be our pole sitter alongside Trevor Woodward on the front row. Andrew Teft and Truth Hoke going to be in row number 2, while row 3 going to feature Troy Thomas and Lee Campbell. As we go a little bit deeper here, Philip Archibald and Brandon Honeycutt, they're going to be right here in row number 4, while row 5 and rounding out your starting top 10 is going to be Curtis Ecker and Kirby Wainscott. Justin Branham and Dennis Kane going to be in row number 6, while Jesse Fox and Alex Teft, also out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, going to be in row number 7. Row number 8 going to feature our friends Sean Dunaway and Kyle Hess, with Timothy Wright and Kensley Smith in row number 9. And starting shotgun on the field tonight out of Chicken Coop Racing from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, is going to be Mr. Paul Shaw in the number 25 Toyota Tundra. 20 drivers scheduled to take the field tonight, as are 19 drivers, as you had just mentioned, John, and we're getting ready to drop the green flag already.
And it looks like Matt Metler might be starting after the grid. Looks like he perhaps missed the grid, or maybe he is just an appearance driver who will not make the race. We'll know as soon as the green flag waves in about 15 seconds.
I can only imagine he's probably got some kind of a connection issue down there in Port St. Lucie, as he's always, there battling the elements in our Sunshine State. But right now, the iRacing.com pace car brings us into turn number 4, just ahead of Dale Prokop Valaket. And it looks like they're going to peel off, and the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some Carolina Reaper peppers and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
Showtime. Yeah, showtime. And I believe I just showed him pop up on screen. He's not on the racing surface. I thought he started from the pits. Valaket now out in front by about 4 truck lengths over Andrew Teft and Woodward, side by side into 3.
We come into turn number 3, and they start to go single file here, but take a look here at the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt. He peaks to the high side right now of the 3 of Troy Thomas. Thomas, one of our very own from Sim Racing Media, holds the low line coming through the quad oval, and now Honeycutt tucks in just behind that Chevrolet Silverado diving into turn 1.
And I want to take a moment to let you know all the drivers on the left side of the screen highlighted in blue are your championship contenders. Currently leading the race is a non-contender. The closest, the highest running championship or chase driver, as you might say, is Andrew Teft in the number 98 Ford, qualified third, up 1 spot. Already 3 laps into this race. Now, 105 laps at Charlotte are going to go by rather quickly, as lap times are going to be around the 30 to 32 second bracket as these runs go on.
Yeah, we talk about those lap times, and right now we take a look here at the double nickel of Truth Hoke here as he gets the 55 Wrangler Chevrolet Silverado tucked in just behind the 6 of Trevor Woodward. He laid fast time down at 30.1 seconds flat. And I'm just going here to a different timing screen and see how close he really got. And it was actually 30.099. So he went sub 1. So obviously, right now, Truth Hoke just trying to get himself leveled in here. And if there's any kind of indication from his other racing series that he does here with the Racers Elite family of racing series, we're going to see him make his way forward. And then all of a sudden, we'll see him almost kind of park it in that position and try to maintain those tires and run that fuel cell down low. Truth Hoke, one of those, I guess you would call him a wizard of fuel saving and tire saving, as he lays down a 30.99 here on lap number 5.
And Truth Hoke all over the back of that number 6 machine of Trevor Woodward. He was looking high, looking low. Might have been able to trick the 6 to get to the low side here in the turns 3 and 4. Side by side, not going to be able to get the drive out of the corner because the 6 is going to hold position. But if he can stay right there by that rear quarter panel into 1, he's not able to do it. It's going to give him the advantage. But great defense there by Trevor Woodward to hold on to P3.
Yeah, Woodward trying to hold on to P3 right now. We're watching this battle because Hoke is not done yet. After he nearly was, well, since he was essentially robbed last week, he is going to be one hungry driver tonight as he is all over that rear bumper of the 6. We take a peek further back here in the field and look at Kensley Smith, as Kensley Smith is now door handle to door handle with the 01 Pizza Hut Chevrolet. And that, of course, my goodness, is Sean Dunaway as they go side by side through the quad oval just behind Alex Teft in the Home Depot Toyota Tundra. And right now, these three trucks, you don't think that it's that serious, but in that battle for 12th, it means everything to a driver like Kensley Smith and Sean Dunaway as they chase down, a veteran like Alex Teft.
And you can see right here, they're really not giving each other a lot of room. They're racing each other just the way they know how. And I wouldn't call it aggressive, but they have a lot of self-respect for each other. And they're not giving the other one an inch, and neither are really bouncing around too much. So these are two drivers, make that really three drivers if you count Alex Teft, that are comfortable racing with each other, trust the style of the other, and are willing to battle it out even this far back, in the 12th, 13th, or 14th area. And these are a few guys that I don't anticipate will stay 12th, 13th, and 14th as they slowly move to the front. But from watching a lot of these races, which I don't get to participate in too much as far as racing or broadcasting, the competition has slowly but surely gotten much tighter. The drivers that used to be the back runners are starting to find themselves in the battles up front a lot more than we were used to, as we're seeing quite the battle up front as Truth Hoke is really trying to get the second. He's got Dale Procop Valaquette, who's kind of moving backwards now, driver the number 5. He's going to move back all the way to 4th as Andrew Teft is going to take the lead. Hoke to 2nd, Trevor Woodward to 3rd, and back and forth is Dale Procop Valaquette.
While we were back there, looking at Alex Teft, I was up here peeking in on Andrew Teft as he just had to claw his way beyond Truth Hoke. I mean, Truth Hoke, he's one of these drivers where he's not going to give up. He's not going to put it away early. That's for sure. And I mean, right now, 10 laps in of 105. I mean, this is anybody's race. Wow, all of a sudden, the 6 of Trevor Woodward gets a little bit loose, and that may have been arrow loose as he gets Dale Procop Valaquette now getting by him on the low side. But Andrew Teft climbs into the race lead. He's your new race leader. And this is one of those times where the most dangerous person on the racetrack is he with the clean air at the front. And if there's anybody that I can't wait to see with this clean air and what he can do, it's Andrew Teft. He is a master at this. I was watching him a couple of weeks ago in the Cup Series on a Thursday night. Of course, you can check in with Shane Lake and myself for that right here on Sim Racing Media every Thursday. And he was actually leading the race and clutching his engine to save fuel, and he stretched out like 12 laps beyond everybody else. It was an incredible feat. So right now, and that was in traffic. So up here ahead of everybody now, gapping Truth Hoke by nearly 4/10 of a second. We're about to see a fuel-saving clinic be put on by Andrew Teft. I'm taking a look now at Troy Thomas, John, and I'll tell you what, he's really starting to close in now on Brandon Honeycutt on his recovery drive after losing 3 spots early.
And something I want to mention about Brandon Honeycutt, a few moments ago, he was having connection issues. We were seeing him drop off the timing and scoring and drop all the way to the end and then reappear back around that 7th or 8th position. It's something to keep an eye on regarding his connection. So far, it appears to have stabilized, and he is running 8th with Curtis Ecker right behind him. We know it's another very fast vehicle, the number 19 Chevrolet, nice Menards paint scheme, and our own Troy Thomas. And Troy, of course, being a Racers Elite member for really the better part of the last 2 years, and a driver who has one of those guys that I mentioned used to kind of run a lot more in the back, is really finding some speed and starting to be competitive in this league. And just kind of thankful that the Racers Elite Series has allowed these drivers to develop, and it really creates for great respectful driving. And there's not a ton of newcomers. These guys race with each other week in, week out, all year round, and it really does put on a good show.
Yeah, and we talk about that very often in some of the other leagues that we cover here. And of course, Sim Racing Media, we're finally in what's our version of the off season. A lot of leagues right now taking some time off, unlike the Racers Elite Series that we see here tonight. Of course, with the Truck Series on a Tuesday, taking a peek here at the 99 Winston Toyota Tundra. The No-Bill 99 now leads Troy Thomas by just about a tenth of a second. Troy Thomas dives to the inside. He's going to suddenly get out the chrome horn and try to loosen up the 99. He did it once before. Maybe he can pull it off again. But, you know, we have a lot of leagues like that, John, here on Sim Racing Media.
Oh,
you know, we have
slide
our,
right up in front of the 99.
my.
Sorry to cut you off, but it was awfully close. The 99 gave him a little bit of room there. The 99 is going to look to the inside. And I felt like Troy was about to try to block it into 3. He didn't really do it, but he certainly stole whatever run the 99 and that Winston Toyota. That sounds kind of weird. That Winston Toyota right there, or no bull Winston Toyota of Philip Archibald, and moved Troy Thomas to 6th. And go on.
Yeah, Troy Thomas takes over 6th position. As I was mentioning, you know, to your point a moment ago, a lot of these drivers spend, you know, 2 and 3 nights a week together. They get to know one another's racing styles, even as we see Curtis Ecker starting to, you know, creep up on Philip Archibald and now looks to the left rear quarter panel. You know, when you get to spend that much time together and discipline yourselves around one another, it becomes really good racing, really competitive racing, and we get to see that. There's Elite and, of course, the Icon Series, all available right here on Sim Racing Media. And we want to thank everybody for being our fans, subscribing to that YouTube page, and, of course, tuning in every night of the week. And make sure that you turn on those bell notifications so you can be told every time we go live. And all of a sudden, here comes Curtis Ecker underneath the 99, ready to start harassing Philip Archibald, and he's being pushed along by Dennis Kane, and Kane not ready to give up early as the Detroit, Michigan native now looks to the inside of Curtis Ecker. They go door handle to door handle into turn number 1.
I mean, these guys are really racing hard for the 9th, 8th, 7th positions right here. Archibald kind of starting to step away. Troy Thomas really starting to step away. You got that number 6 of Woodward starting to go backwards. He might fall into the clutches of the Hornet's nest behind him. Thomas, wow. Real tight right there. Pretty much drives right into the side of Trevor Woodward, who gives him as much room as possible. And he's going to be the big loser from that. And they're going to stack these machines of Archibald, Kane, and Honeycutt right up, right behind him. This could be a mess in a hurry. You see right there, Archibald, the 99, getting extremely loose, Dave. And again, it looks like we, you know, great minds think alike. We both want to start talking right there. But the 99 got loose, and that just stacked all these machines up right here. You know, we're looking at 7, 8 cars all within 1 second of each other.
Yeah, the young man out of Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan here trying to hold the high side. Kind of lets the tires cool off a little bit. Not sure if that's part of his strategy or if he just hasn't figured out this racetrack yet. As Archibald, very skilled driver tonight, making it around here. Right now, track temperature runs around 89.6 degrees. Outdoor ambient air temperature around 73.4. So, you know, there's a ton of grip in the racetrack, and sometimes if you cook it too soon, you can really tighten these trucks up. I mean, you know, these don't do the same things as of course, the next-gen cars, because these have one solid rear axle. Once those tires start to give out, they tighten up tighter than the lid on a mayonnaise jar.
Yeah, from my understanding, the trucks, you kind of drive them more off the right front. In the next-gen series, you can drive those off the right rear. And you can really eat the right front up if you're over pushing it, adding a lot of wheel. And we're seeing a lot of wheel right here from Dennis Kane. But he's obviously figured something out. He's up 4 spots. It's running 32-second lap times, which is, well, really he's running 31.8. And that's every bit comparable to Andrew Teft, who's up front in the clean air. You know, Andrew Teft is a driver. It's rather impressive. Whenever I raced regularly, when I would get out front, I would always find myself mirror driving, and I just couldn't run the same speed that I could when I was following. But he's been awfully calm up there, even though Procop Valaket, that number 5 machine, has stayed with him step for step and is starting to close the gap ever so slightly. Last time around, he was 2 thousandths faster.
Speaking in here on Sparta, Kentucky's Colonel Kirby Wayne Scott driving the number 10 Toyota Tundra. He's kind of sitting behind this little bit of a hornet's nest. There's a 4-car battle in front of him with the 13, the 4, the 6, and the 99. And Wayne Scott is one of those drivers where I think he's just patient enough where he's going to hang out here. He and Alex Teft behind this little knot of cars. And you know how I feel about that diamond formation. It always makes me a little nervous here as we watch Troy Thomas and Curtis Ecker come across the line right now. Working to the high side of Dennis Kane. in a battle for second. I'm sorry, in a battle for sixth. Trevor Woodward here on the high side. He's running in eighth. Dennis Kane in seventh. They haul it down into turn number 3. And all of a sudden, with a fresh push here comes Alex Teft. He may even be giving just a little bit of air to the spoiler of the 6, and that may get them through that quad oval. Wow, they're flirting with 3 wide.
Yeah, Trevor Woodward is in a lot of trouble right here. He clear overused that Chevrolet number 6 of his as the Hornet's Nest is slowly putting him further and further back in the pack, and he's fighting that truck right there. You can see him get loose, and there goes the 43 of Alex Tuff trying to avoid what could have been a big incident. It may not be over yet as the 01 of Dunaway really just slid right up into the 99 of Archibald. Heads up attention from Archibald to kind of back out of it just a little bit. That was almost catastrophe here on lap 27.
And what did I tell you? Kirby Wainscott kind of hanging out here going, check please, I'll see myself this way, as he nearly watched all of that unfold in front of him, and it could have been a hood ornament. Oh, loose as a goose is the 6. He gets a little bit of air taken away from him by the 15 of Kensley Smith, and now all of a sudden Trevor Woodward is shuffled back to 15th position, nearly making contact. That seemed a little bit violent there. Coming off the track is Kirby Wainscott, and now the 6 of Trevor Woodward. They're going to come in for pit service here on lap number 28 of 105. So we're just a little bit past a quarter of the way through this piece as Andrew Teft leads the way now, gapping Dale Prokop Valaket by about a quarter of a second, and Valaket holding his own behind, of course, our leader, our fearless leader here in the Racers Elite Truck Series, Andrew Teft.
You know, I went back to take a look right there for the what happened to Trevor Woodward. He had a little bit of help, got a little slow, and got a nudge from Kinsley Smith and got into that outside wall. And what's common with these trucks, based on how the right side of the body is, if you get on the wall, the rear end tries to like force the right front into it, and you just get glued to the wall, and you can't escape until you really get it slowed down. And that's what brought Trevor Woodward probably be in the pits for at least a couple minutes.
Well, while Trevor Woodward sits down on pit road, Kyle Hess says the Hess truck's back and it's better than ever. He's running in 14th position, just behind Paul Shaw out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Now, I realize that the way that I pronounce that is Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Only those of us who live in southeastern and northeastern, really the eastern side of Pennsylvania, we're the only people who can say Bethlehem. And this is the only time of year where we actually say the full town's name, Bethlehem, because, of course, Christmas on its way. Troy Thomas dives on down pit road. He's going to be the 3rd truck, coincidentally enough, being the number 3, down pit road for service as he brings Boone, North Carolina's Good Wrench Service Plus truck to a peaceful rest here in his pit box. Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, though, holds his own ahead of Dale Prokop Valaket and Lee Campbell, who now trails by just about 1/10 of a second. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, of course, for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Of course, tonight we've got the mega stream going. It's almost as good as ESPN Plus, as, of course, we're right here on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. The bottom line is that we're live on Sim Racing Media with 2 of the best in the business right here, Jonathan Leach and Dave Regal, with you live in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And under green flag comes our leader as all of a sudden Andrew Teft dives on down. He brings along Lee Campbell and also the double nickel of Truth Hoke, Dennis Kane, Sean Dunaway, and Jesse Fox all down pit road. So all of a sudden we are in that green flag pit stop cycle.
Now I'm expecting to see Dale Prokop Valaket dive down pit road this time. He might think to not do so. He is slowing down, and here comes Prokop Valaket to stay with the leaders of Andrew Teft. Archibald, the rest of the field pretty much is going to follow suit. It does look like Justin Branham and Timothy Wright are going to stay out one more lap. Winning the race off pit road is going to be Andrew Teft, followed by Lee Campbell, and it looks like Truth Hoke right behind him. Now, we know where those drivers are. Andrew Teft going into turn number 3. The interesting thing is, how's the race going to turn out with Prokop Valaket still in his pit box He is leaving his pit box now. Andrew Teft is on the front stretch. Valaquette now in the off of pit road on the ramp back on the racing surface. Andrew Teft should go by him. He just did go by. And Prokop Valaquette is going to lose a lot of time, I believe. Actually, correction. I need to correct myself. I thought he went by. Valaquette's actually going to be right there with Andrew Teft, just in front of him into turns 3 and 4. Not quite up to speed. Teft's going to want to get by him as quickly as possible.
And now cycling up to the lead is our teammate here at Sim Racing Media, Troy Thomas. He's got the number 3 DollarGeneral.com Chevrolet Silverado just in front of Colonel Kirby Wainscott here in the number 10. And a little bit of a different paint scheme tonight for Kirby Wainscott. Of course, we call him the Colonel. He used to be in that KFC paint scheme. He's since gone elsewhere and done different things and really thrown us off. But tonight, it's definitely the Chicken Coop Racing logo. And I'll tell you what, those guys from the Chicken Coop Racing stable are just incredible to watch. They really follow, those team orders, those, hey, listen, we're teammates. We're going to work together. The only time that you don't see them working together is when it's that final lap and they're neck and neck.
Well, you saw very quickly, pitting 5 laps ahead of everybody else, what that'll do for you. That's what cycled Troy Thomas to the lead. And again, my apologies. I thought I saw the number 98 go by the number 5 exiting pit road, and that wasn't the case. And the 5 actually beat Andrew Teft, and I'm going to have to equate that to the pit lane time. The number 5, the Dale Prokop Valaquette 5 Chevrolet, was on pit road for about 0.7 of a second less than Andrew Teft. And now, they're separated by 0.4 of a second on the racing surface. So that was the difference maker right there. And Andrew Teft getting by him and holding that lead, because he was in front and did pit first. But green flag pit stops give the advantage to the number 5 as they're all chasing down Troy Thomas, who is a touch slower, who has a few more green flag laps on his tires than the others.
Andrew Teft with a full head of steam gets underneath Kirby Wainscott, claiming back the 3rd position that he had originally qualified in. Now he sets the sights on Dale Prokop Valaquette. I feel like we've been calling that name a lot tonight, but here in his debut, if I understand this correctly, this is his debut tonight. Yes, no? As he's coming here to this league, I mean, if you show up, you might as well show out, especially in a league like this where, we've got so many different competitors and styles. And yeah, this is his debut race. So if you're going to come, show him your tailpipe and show him what you're made of.
Notice something right here. Got an update on a little bit. It comes from Kinsley Smith. I did not verified, but it appears like in the new update they reworked iRacing, worked the aerodynamic damage penalty, and then if your engine or wheel sustain heavy enough damage, it may be beyond your pit crew's skill to repair. Now, it's something that he posted in the driver's lounge late yesterday evening during his review. It's kind of odd to see, but something that iRacing is really fond of is don't wreck your machine, don't get wrecked. If you do, you're just pretty much toast on the day.
Well, to iRacing's point, and probably for some of the reason that they did this, there's a lot of people out here that feel like they can strap a V-plow to the front of some of these F-150s and Silverados and just abuse them. And, at least in the public servers, that can be very frustrating, if you're somebody who's trying to hone your racecraft and get better. So I can see why iRacing would want to finally penalize people who drive like, lunatics.
Well, we don't see many lunatics in this racing series as we're almost halfway without a caution. The racing is heating up. I guess I can't say it's heating up. It's kind of cooled off, per se, and we don't have any hornet's nest anymore. But what we're expecting is for the race to heat up as we get to the other side of 55 laps, and we start really trying to figure out who's going to come early enough so that they can get to the end. Trevor Woodward blazing down pit road. I imagine his truck is not very happy with them with the earlier damage. And perhaps his night is over, as he does seem to park that machine. Very frustrated with what happened earlier, as he took pit road at well over 100 miles per hour.
Trevor Woodward does disappear and pull his truck, as it looks like he and Matt Metler are going to beat everybody else to the hot dog stand here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Metler, I assume, to be holding on to a palm tree in Port St. Lucie.
I mean, I wouldn't mind either.
Well, you know.
It's rather cold in the Great North. As we really got ourselves some fun happening up here to the front. Troy Thomas taking up the preferred lane right here, giving Andrew Teft an opportunity at the number 5 as they're side by side right behind him. Thomas is going to open the door possibly for Teft to get a twofer. Isn't going to take advantage of it. Teft now in front of the 5 reclaims second place, setting his eyes now on Troy Thomas. I don't expect the 5 to be done yet.
No, the 5 is definitely not going to be put to bed early tonight, as Dale Prokop Valaket in his debut race tonight, now watching this side-by-side battle with the 3 and the 98. They nearly go fender to fender coming through the quad oval, and now Valaket slides door handle to door handle. He can nearly waggle his fingers right in the eyeballs of Troy Thomas, as Thomas has to let the 5 slide on by for the time being. And now Andrew Teft cycles himself up to the race lead as he regains that away from Valaket, as we work lap number 46 of 105 live at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching the Racers Elite Truck Series here on a Tuesday night with Dave Regal and Jonathan Leach. And I'll tell you what, John, this is far from over, where I'm looking back again at Kirby Wainscott. There he is, battling it out with Kensley Smith in the number 15 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet Silverado.
Yeah, far from over indeed. These guys not quite as close together as they were before, but we still have about 4 cars. Alex Teft, Kinsley Smith, Wayne Scott, Dunaway, and Brandon Honeycutt make that 5 cars all within 1 second of each other. And what we saw is these guys really started to tighten up a bit as the tires wore on. And we did see quickly, if you scrub your tires off, you could fall like a rock, as Trevor Woodward was contending for the lead at the beginning of the race and found himself in the clutches of drivers that may not be quite as fast as the top 3, but were perhaps saving their equipment a little bit better than he was. And so as the laps go on, and these drivers all pitted around lap 29 to 32, I expect the next 20 laps or so, as Wayne Scott way up the track, letting the 13 and the 01 by some toughness of driving these vehicles. And we're going to start seeing some things get a little bit closer together.
Yeah, track temperature has now risen to 91.4 degrees with an outdoor ambient air of 73.4. That's starting to loosen up the racetrack a little bit. And you know, once you hit above that 90 mark, that's when you can see every degree, half a degree matter as far as grip goes. That's going to loosen these trucks up a little bit. That means the drivers are definitely going to have to be, managing entry and backing that entry up just ever so gently as they get through these 4 turns. Sean Dunaway right now, he slides into 11th position. He's up 4 from where he had qualified, just ahead of Dennis Kane by about 0.3 of a second. A lot of 2-car battles all over the racetrack, and it seems like everybody's perfectly, content right now, picking each other off one at a time. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Of course, the bottom line is that we are live on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Jonathan Leach with you here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching the Racers Elite Truck Series, and we'll be right back as we pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. Hell man. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, where you're watching Andrew Teft lead the way here in the Racers Elite Truck Series. As we are in the second to last week of the season, we get ready to crown a champion next week at Phoenix. But tonight, the focus is right here in the shadow of all that is NASCAR. Dave Regal and Jonathan Leach with you in the Tony Trepasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of Brotherly Love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. The bottom line is that we're live on Sim Racing Media. And John, what a race this has been. We were talking off air during the commercial break that a lot of these battles are just enough to keep things moving smoothly here as we take a peek at Lee Campbell in the 60 Realtree Ford F-150 looking to the inside of the double nickel of Truth Hogue.
You know, these drivers, as we were mentioning just a couple moments ago before we jump to commercial, things are tightening up a bit as the race goes on. You're looking right here, Truth Hogue, as you mentioned, Lee Campbell are side by side. Just in front of them is Curtis Ecker. And these guys are getting pretty close. And Troy Thomas, you're starting to see the pitting early coming back to affect him. But what we did miss is Dennis Kane has come down and made his pit stop. Now, perhaps he's looking at short pitting one more time to make it to the end. I'm not sure if these guys can get to the end if they pit at lap 60. So he might have already assumed he's going to have to make at least one more stop.
Yeah, I feel like from here now, our first round of pit stops was somewhere in and around lap number 27. That's when we started seeing drivers come down, and that, of course, is when we saw Kirby Wainscott and Dennis Kane do it. You know, so I would say we've got at least one more stop in these trucks. Some drivers may be trying to short pit, and, you know, after being robbed, you know, before, we're going to see some of these other drivers, like Truth Hogue, who, you know, last week loses by less than 200th of a second. You know, we're going to start to see drivers like him make those pit adjustments, make those strategic adjustments, because the driving is already spot on.
And two drivers that must have been communicating just a little bit, Curtis Ecker and Troy Thomas down pit road at the same time. It's currently lap 61. And going based on 32 laps, I don't think these guys are going to get to the end of the race because they pitted early last time around. Now, drivers like Alex Teft, you know, Brandon Honeycutt, they pitted on lap 33. I mean, it might be possible if they can get to 67, you know, and get 34 more laps out of it. Maybe they can save enough to make it to that 105. But I'm thinking everybody's going to be two more stops, and we might be seeing some guys dive down to take 2 tires, no tires, a splash and go, possibly 4 tires, depending where you are on the racing surface. You know, and it's going to be a really interesting finish right here, but I'm certain the guys that are just pitting right now cannot make it to the end.
Well, and at this stage in the race, you got to be careful with the splash and go. Sometimes that's how our children were conceived, as they suddenly go down here in Lee Campbell in the 60 F-150, pulls it onto pit road just behind Andrew Teft, and Kyle Hess comes onto pit road. Philip Archibald does the same thing. All of a sudden, it's going to be wholesale pit stops under green here on lap number 63. Andrew Teft having a little bit longer of a travel here down pit road as he was qualified up on the inside of row number 2. Looks like he's going to get at least 2 tires on the outside. They drop the rights. Now let's see if he's going to go 4, and he does. So he's going to be 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast, which I assume that's going to be everybody else's idea. With that track temperature coming up, John, we may start to see people take lefts instead of rights because they don't want to get too loose and too goosey.
That would be an interesting play. I don't know if I would do it personally, but you know, again, I don't drive very often, and we haven't seen anybody take less than 4 tires all night long. Everybody's taking, you see all these stops between 14.7s and like 15.4. So everybody took 4 tires. That cycles Dale Procop Valley Cat to the lead, and I'm seeing some smoke, and I'm not sure where it came from. There it is right there. Kinsley Smith, all kinds of trouble on pit road. Let's try to back it up and see what might have happened to him as he was entering pit road.
Oh, you're not going to like what you see here. coming off of turn 4. Oh, just a little pirouette right into pit box 42.
Yeah, a lot of rear brake bias right there, and that 15 just goes around, smokes the rears. It's going to do a spin on pit road, nearly collecting, looks like, is that the 16 or no, the 01 machine of Sean Dunaway. He gets by it, and that's really going to hurt Kinsley Smith, who's been running a clean race as he is entering the track now. Jesse Fox in the number 69 machine coming down pit road for service on lap 67. Now, he might have an opportunity to get to the end. Now, here comes Alex Teft, Brandon Honeycutt. I still think it's going to be a stretch because 33, 34 laps gets them to about 100 and not quite to 105. They'd have to go, 7.5 more miles than what we've seen them to do so far if they try to make it to the end. So I'm expecting drivers to have to come down, get fuel again, and Dennis Kane could be in the catbird seat because he pitted the earliest of the bunch.
Yeah, and just as we see that, we see Jesse Fox in the Dollar General Chevrolet Silverado. He's finally off a pit road down the back chute. You know, here's the thing. Jesse, a newcomer to the league this year, or this season, that is, 8 starts under his belt this year with an average finish of 13th. And I say that, but he's already got himself a top 10 on the season. And that, of course, was at Iowa Speedway, Daytona International Speedway in the oval configuration. So a lot of good things coming for, Jesse Fox. It's going to be a matter of, paying his dues and, getting through these ranks, so to speak, here in the Racers Elite Family of Racing Series. And here we go on lap number 68. Dale Prokop comes off of pit road, and he's decided he's going to go out there once again after coming in on lap number 67.
And so he's back on the racing surface. Here comes the 68 Timothy T. Wright. That should be it. There should be nobody else that needs to come down pit road that is in contention. There is Justin Branham on the racing surface, last pitted on lap 34, but scored a lap down, currently in 18th. Curtis Ecker has assumed the race lead, but just behind him is Andrew Teft, Dennis Kane, Troy Thomas, multiple drivers up here towards the front. Now is when the cat and mouse game starts, because here in about 5 laps, if you get fuel, you can make it to the end. So who goes first? We haven't seen a caution yet. I don't expect to see a caution. It's going to come down to who pits at the right time, who gets on pit road the fastest, who gets off the quickest, and who has the shortest stop.
Good question. Taking a look here at Curtis Ecker, all over the rear bumper of Andrew Teft, our race leader for the time being. Curtis Ecker of South Williamsport, Pennsylvania, home of the Little League Baseball Hall of Fame, and of course where the Little League World Series is held every year. He's trying to get up here to the rear bumper of Hope Valley, Rhode Island's Andrew Teft. They start to separate just a little bit, and now that puts an interesting gap between Troy Thomas and Andrew Teft. The driver who we're still watching this week is Truth Hoke. After being robbed last week, he's got to be hungry, and he's got to want to score more in the number 55 Wrangler Silverado.
And put in the fastest lap down of anybody, with the exception of the number 5, Dale Prokop Valaket, is Truth Hoke, currently in 6th. Drivers in front of him all slower by at least 0.2 of a second. 2 of them 4th and 5th place drivers, Dennis Kane and Kirby Wainscott, almost a full second slower, as Hoke has eyes set on Wainscott. He's going to have to get around these guys, but one way to do it is to make the short pit opportunity here. I'm not a crew chief. Don't take my word on it, but I think very soon we're going to start to see what's going to happen, as Hoke is going to come flying by Wainscott to take away 5th.
Well, this is where having somebody, spotting for you or crew chiefing for you in the sim would be incredibly helpful, especially as we get deeper into this race. I mean, you and I have to understand, we're up here kind of armchair quarterbacking it from the broadcast booth. We can say, oh, maybe this would be a good time, maybe that, but we don't know how each of these trucks is individually operating right now on the racetrack. So, these drivers have to be, many of these drivers, if not all of them, have to be making these decisions, when to come in, how much to get done, with split-second precision. as we approach lap number 75. It's going to be 30 to go. We're going to see the money stop start to peak in here, probably in the next 5 to 6 laps.
And Sean Dunaway on pit road still, but stops haven't started just yet. Troy Thomas getting around a, looks like, excuse me, that might have been Dennis Kane that he was trying to, that he did sneak around a moment ago. And I apologize, it was a lapped machine. So Troy Thomas pitted on lap 60, running third, really setting himself up for a good finish right here. And, you know, he's kind of been short pitting everybody this whole race. He just has to do it quite at the right time, because it does seem like at about 14 laps into the run, he gives the lead back up. So, I mean, maybe if he's lucky, perhaps he can pit about 14 laps, you know, before the contenders will. And perhaps he could steal one here, as Truth Hoke is going to stay in fifth as Dale Prokop Valaket number 5, who's flying around the track faster than everybody in front of him by at least 0.5 of a second, has claimed fourth.
Truth Hoke and Dennis Kane exchange positions. Now Truth Hoke running in 5th position. Dennis Kane slides into 6th. He's still up 6 positions from where he had qualified. But right now, Dennis Kane about to be pestered by Lee Campbell, as Campbell now looks to the high side. Ballston Spa, New York. I've never been to Ballston Spa, but that just seems like a really nice place to let it soak.
You have so much interesting, dare I say, useless knowledge at times, but it does make for an entertaining event. As, you know, let's take a look at all of our chase drivers. They're kind of spread out. One in 1st place, one in 5th. Got a handful from 7th to 10th. Philip Archibald, kind of the Lone Ranger, in 13th. And then 17th is Justin Branham and Sean Dunaway, both having nights that they would much sooner like to forget than continue. And Curtis Ecker back to the front, really kind of hanging on to that 2nd place position, trying to keep that number 5 behind him, but the 5 just might be too fast. But Ecker not just going to give it to him. As you see right there, the 5 not able to slide up until really completing and getting through turn number 4. Now for the number 5, he's got about 2 seconds to get to Andrew Teft, and green flag pit stops.
Yeah, we start to see some of these things happen, you know, where we talked about it a little bit off the air, where we start to see some of the reds and the oranges really come to life after we come out of, you know, wholesale pit stops. Jesse Fox getting ready to dive down right now, as a matter of fact, here on lap number 79. That's going to put us at about 26 to go when he comes back onto the racing surface. But, you know, once we see these guys start to come down pit road, especially because they come down in tiny little packs, we're going to start to see this race tighten itself back up before we see the checkered flag wave. Troy Thomas out of Boone, North Carolina, just gets served by Truth Hoke, and Truth Hoke in the 55 slides on by. Truth wants to kind of, let's just say, redeem himself after last week. Andrew Teft leading the way, though, now by about a full second over Dale Prokop Valaket.
Now that changed very quickly, as Dennis Kane's going to be the first driver down pit road. We were waiting to see when it was going to happen. Here comes Kirby Wainscott. All of this, while this is happening, that lead, that gap is shrinking very quickly. It was 2 seconds 5 laps ago, under 0.7 of a second now. But have Dennis Kane and Kirby Wainscott given themselves the best chance to win? What are we looking at? Are we just looking at fuel only here? Or are we doing tires? It looks like maybe it's a fuel stop only for Dennis Kane. No, 10 seconds in, 11 seconds in. Kirby Wainscott, 10 seconds in. Likely 4 tires and fuel for both drivers as the time on pit road. As both drivers come off, they will be significantly faster than the rest of them. Dennis Kane and Wainscott both close enough to the front that they might be able to leapfrog the field if the field takes too long.
And that's something we're really going to have to keep an eye on, as all of a sudden Dale Prokop goes side by side with Andrew Teft through the quad oval. They are neck and neck as they can nearly just hold on to one another's wheels as they were that close coming through the quad oval. Now they haul it into turns 1 and 2. And, you know, I'm at a point right now where Lee Campbell coming down pit road. I do want a quick side note here, as I couldn't think of why Ballston Spa sounded familiar. That is the birthplace of Abner Doubleday, pretend inventor of baseball. So that's why that sounded so familiar. And I'm sure that felt that way to some of you at home as well. But Truth Hoke here, he's in a familiar position as he's climbing his way up onto the podium. He runs in third position right now in the double nickel. And he says here, being outsiders, he's on the outsiders team here in the Racers Elite Truck Series.
And so moving up to third right here, he's 3-4 seconds back from the lead. Best opportunity here, in my opinion, is a short pit. I hope they don't notice and to get out in front of them. But Hoke seems to be a long run machine. His lap times are every bit the same as Andrew Teff's right now. Not quite as good as Dale Prokop Valaquette. But Valaquette stayed out 5 laps longer on the last stop. We did just see Kinsley Smith come in for service. The entire the top 11 or top 10 have yet to pit. Dennis Kane is the first car to having pit, running almost a second faster than everybody else on track.
Well, if you're going to be the king, it's always good to be the king. Andrew Teft and Troy Thomas now swinging down on a pit road. They're followed by the Hess truck of Kyle Hess and that number 86 Chevrolet Silverado. This is going to be the money stop with now 20 to go for Andrew Teft. So this is for all the marbles, they say.
Looked like he got into his stall clean. Right side coming up. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel for the Andrew Teft machine waiting on the left side, following suit. So just the track temperatures have dictated that you're not going to try this without 4 tires. And lane time significantly slower than the number 5. 43.43 on stopping lap 85 to a 42.17 last time for Dale Prokop Valaquette. So pit lane time is playing a huge factor in where these drivers are finishing on the racing surface.
Coming in from about lap number 78 and 69, I'm sorry, 78 for this round of playoffs. Of course, we also were able to give a special gift to the Burnses, who were excited to see their daughter Pam. Dale Prokop Valaquette leads this piece. Truth Hoke now comes down pit road. So just the top 3 drivers still need to come on down. This week, of course, we head on down to Phoenix Raceway, and, you know, I feel times in NASCAR where we feel like Daytona is a really good place to end a season, but, you know, we still do this in Phoenix. We've done it in Homestead, which, of course, is a place that John and I have been a couple of times now, both together and separated. But, you know, John, listen, here we are coming up into what will be championship weeks next Tuesday. I mean, these drivers have not shown any indication. Wow! The 98 just blew the doors off of Curtis Ecker. Woof. But, you know, as we see some of these drivers now in the twilight with 15 laps to go, what do you do and how tight do you have that helmet snugged? As we work here with 14 laps to go now, Curtis Ecker takes over the race lead here in the 19. He's got the 01 of Sean Dunaway now looking to the inside, trying to get that lap back the good old-fashioned way. As right now on the lead lap, it's Ecker, Andrew Teft, Valaquette, Campbell, Kane, and Kirby Wainscott. And now Curtis Ecker comes down. He's the last truck not to have pitted, so it's about time as Andrew Teft leads the way. Curtis Ecker, Andrew Teft, Dale Prokop Valaquette, Lee Campbell, Dennis Kane, Kirby Wainscott, Kinsley Smith, Troy Thomas. Oh, Brandon Honeycutt, Truth Hoke. That's your top 10 as things getting a little dicey here with some connection issues from our drivers that can really throw things into a little bit of disarray here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. But hey, we want to thank all of you for tuning in and making us a part of your evening. Of course, we don't get over here onto the Twitch very often, but we want to thank you for welcoming us. And, you know, however you're watching or listening, we just want to thank you for watching us on Twitch YouTube, or Facebook, because the bottom line is we're live on Sim Racing Media. "16 cars on the lead lap, 12 laps to go. It's still anybody's race while Andrew Teft leads Dale Prokop-Valaket. And, it's almost like he wants to be the scary guy and scratch everything clean and take, Karen's name off of everything and restart. But it's just not the way that it seems to me, at least from my perspective. And I think perspective in life has a lot to do with racing. And, Troy Thomas here looking now to the inside of Kensley Smith in the 15. As we get back on task here, Tarboro, North Carolina native Kensley Smith holds his own above the 3 of Troy Thomas. Brandon Honeycutt here running all by his lonesome right now in 9th position. Biggest mover of the night is Kensley Smith up 11 as we're starting to get that little bit of a hornet's nest look here. Can't really say I'm happy about that, but it is what it is. And 9 laps to go now for Andrew Teft to put it away here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching the Racers Elite Truck Series. I'm Dave Regal, and my partner in the broadcast booth is Jonathan Leach. As we've got 9 laps to go, and John, we've been green since the whole race. This is something that doesn't happen in every league, but it seems to happen most often here in the Racers Elite Truck Series. I'm always curious how they manage to do this, and we've talked about, driver familiarity, rules and things like that, but they barely have to legislate anything in this league. They just are that good. As we're 8 laps to go, 8's a magic number right there for sure, as the pride of Henrietta, Oklahoma, Mr. Troy Aikman wore that number for over 20 years between college and the pros. Of course, now our colleague over at ESPN and ABC. Andrew Teft starting to get harassed now by Dale Prokop-Valaket, as Valaket's just kind of been hanging out. 6 laps to go for Andrew Teft, around Andrew Teft, and Teft trying to make that F-150 as wide as possible, but making the move coming into the quad oval now. In the 5 machine is Dale Prokop-Valaket. He gets side by side, nearly making contact with the 98. He keeps it moving forward. He's keeping it pushing, keep pushing. And Andrew Teft now has to cede the lead over to Valaket. Now diving to the inside is Andrew Teft, as we've got ourselves a 2-step boogie here coming back to the line once again as they come out of turn 4 and back to the start-finish line. 4 laps to go. Now your race leader is Valaket. A moment before that, it was Andrew Teft. Neither of these like he wants to pay. Andrew Teft trying to fight his way back up here into the lead, as these 2 drivers, oddly enough, the closest battle on the racetrack right now. Little something going on between Lee Campbell and Truth Hoke, and a pretty decent, 1-second gap, now 2 between Dennis Kane and Kirby Wainscott. But 3 laps to go, and we're nearly there, folks. Here in the Racers Elite Truck Series, Dave Regal and Jonathan Leach with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Well, it's unfortunate, Dave. We're doing the best we can right here, but it just seems like our software used to stream to both Facebook, Twitch, or to all 3, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, can't keep up with what's going on, and has led to unfortunate streaming problems, as we really had a great race running right here with coming down to the wire here with Valaket and Andrew Teft separated by half a second with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, 2 laps to go. The popsicle sticks are in the air. We're coming out of turns 3 and 4 and back to the start-finish line. Dale Prokop-Valaket crosses the start-finish line. The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers. John, we have watched a green to checkers race tonight as, of course, the green flag waved just a little after 7:30. It's now just a little after 8:45, and we're ready to see this piece end as Dale Valaket now leads Andrew Teft and Truth Hoke. This is going to be Hoke's fourth third-place finish of the season. That's got to taste a little sour in his mouth, but Prokop Valaket in his debut race in the Racers Elite Truck Series brings home the checkered flag in his Chevrolet Silverado tonight here at Grings Mill and, of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway.
You know, just what an incredible race. Green to checker racing, no cautions, came down to fuel strategy as well as picking the right time to pit. We did know for the race that Prokop Valaket was the driver to beat, but Andrew Teft certainly made it interesting, and Truth Hoke managed to stick around as well. And shout out to Troy Thomas finishing third.
Rounding out your top five is Lee Campbell and Troy Thomas, as you had just mentioned. Dennis Kane, Brandon Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, Kirby Wainscott, and Kyle Hess make up your top 10.
Wow, really an outstanding race. Mired by a little bit of issues trying to get to 3 streaming sources. A little bit misfortune right there.
Well, and we're going to get a chance in just a few moments to chat with our race winner as he's going to burn it down here right at the start-finish line. Of course, we're also going to get a hold of Andrew Teft and Truth Hoke. They're our podium finishers of the evening. As we get everybody moved on over. There he is. And with us now here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, our race winner in his debut, Dale Prokop Valaket. Hey, Dale, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Hey, how's it going?
Buddy, listen, it's going good for us, but even better for you. You come out here and show your tailpipe to the field by bringing home a win in your first start in this league. How does that feel?
It's great. I think it has, I was doing the iRacing room all week, so I kind of knew the track a little bit. And I thought I had Andrew on a fuel strategy, and then he pit early, and I didn't know what to do. So I went in for 2 tires, and I was behind him. I was kind of slower, and I thought, well, that was the worst strategy. But the truck gets tighter as the run goes on, and 2 tires is looser. So I think it came back in my favor.
Well, you know, the thing is, and we talk about it very often, you know, you can zig and the truck will zag and vice versa. You know, that's kind of what makes our sport really exciting, especially on a night where we've watched, you know, track temperatures change. It's gone up, it's gone down. You know, what looks like small to the naked eye, but to a driver like yourself, that's a big deal. But we appreciate the effort tonight, of course, bringing home your first checkered flag here as the Sim Racing Media and Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth bring you all of the action right here. And so for myself, I want to say thank you, Dale. And before we cut you loose here, just want to know who you need to thank and who helped you get it done in the 5-car tonight.
Only person I can thank is myself, I guess. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Congratulations. We'll see you next week at Phoenix.
All right. Bye-bye.
Next up on our podium, John, I believe you have him with you now, Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island.
Andrew Teft, welcome to the booth, making the race interesting tonight. You are clearly the number 2 driver of the race, arguably the best driver of the race, but it just seemed like Dale Prokop Valaket was a little bit better than you on and off of pit road. Was there anything else that you think you might have been able to do, or did you notice that was the slight weakness that you had as compared to him on this racing surface? Because other than that, you were step for step about the same speed all night long.
I felt pretty good about my pit times, but I think what did it, he took 2 tires at the end, and his rights were a little bit fresher. And when you take 2 tires, the truck is just a little bit more loose, and he was able to turn a little bit better than me at the end and just barely outrun me. Yeah, I felt like the 4 tires were going to pay off, but I just got tighter than him at the end.
Yeah, he did mention that as he was speaking with Dave just a moment ago, that the 2 tires at the end helped kind of loosen him up and get the truck to turn better throughout the corners. But really, a great race ran by yourself. You were in it the whole time. Kept it entertaining for us on the booth side. We had a lot of fun. Green to checkered finish. We got to be proud of this one.
Yeah, it was a great race. Congrats to Dale. Thanks for racing me clean. It was right down to the wire there. It wasn't really sure how it was going to play out. He went a little bit longer than me, I think, on the first stop, and was able to run me down a couple times, but I kind of short pitted at the end, and I don't know, just 4 tires was the wrong call today.
Yeah, well, nothing but I'd hold your head high on this one. He was bad fast, as you were as well. Give the floor back to you for anyone else you'd like to mention.
Yeah, SRM as always, our servicemen and women, my family and my team, and everybody that tunes in to watch and shows up to race.
All
And
right.
if you're interested in checking us out, just head on over to racerselite.com. You can find all our info there, schedules, standings, Discord invites, the whole 9 yards.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Enjoy your night.
Thanks, guys.
And last but certainly not least, on our podium tonight, he's no stranger to the podium, Truth Hoke, driver of the double nickel Wrangler machine.
How's it going?
Well, it's not bad, but I mean, Truth, last week you needed just one more lap to try to get that W. Tonight you get robbed again by being shoved into the wall, and of all places had to be in a grocery store.
Yeah, I know. It's just racing, man.
I mean, I've driven through the grocery store and tried to outpace somebody that I knew was going for a ham also, but it's still silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just racing. It's good hard racing. I was just surprised I could catch Lee there at the end.
Absolutely. As we take a look here one final time, we just want to thank you, Truth, for putting on a great show tonight. And before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who helps you get it done here on the 55?
I'd like to thank my wife, Andrew for the lead, my team, the Outsiders, throwing the guys, SRM, and you guys for broadcasting. Can't wait to see it back tomorrow. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congratulations on the P3 finish. We'll see you next week at Phoenix.
All right. Thank you very much. You have a good one.
Well, John, another one in the books here in the Racers Elite Truck Series.
Yeah, another great race. Excited to be here. It was a really fun time. Alas, a little bit of issues on our end, but we'll put the race results up. This is a league that certainly recommend everybody being a part of if you can, and really proud to be here with it week in and week out.
Well, before we get out of here, let's take one final look at our results tonight as Dale Prokop Valaket brings home the checkered flag in his debut race. He's joined on the podium by Andrew Teft and Truth Hoke. Lee Campbell and Troy Thomas round out your top 5, while Dennis Kane and Brandon Honeycutt come home in 6th and 7th. 8th position goes to Kensley Smith, while rounding out your top 5 is Kirby Wainscott and Kyle Hess. Philip Archibald finishes in 11th, with Paul Shaw out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, comes home in 12th. Jesse Fox and Alex Teft, they come home just behind them in 13th and 14th, while 15th goes to Curtis Ecker. Timothy Wright comes home in 14th, with Justin Branham, Sean Dunaway, and Trevor Woodward rounding out the remaining drivers that gave it a swing tonight but decided to put it on the hauler before everybody else got here and saw it.
Race fans, another enjoyable race here for the Racers Elite Truck Series Tuesday, December 10th, almost to the new year. Once again, thank you everybody for being a part of the series. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night. As Tony Trapasso used to say, ladies and gentlemen, please do not play in traffic. Good night.